Well, Bovespa Mais is most likely it is a segment of listing at the Bovespa exchange, and it should work as much as Nasdaq has worked to the United States, or as much as the AIM market has worked for the London Stock Exchange, as an access market. So Bovespa Mais is a segment that is supposed to become an access market for Brazilian mid-sized companies. I think the first important thing on this perspective is to be acquainted with how incipient private equity still is in Brazil. Despite the whole hype of the last few years in fundraising, the big league of the LBOs and large funds being raised to Brazil, the investment activity is not that high. We've been running between 60 and 80 deals announced per annum, which is significantly low compared to other countries, other emerging countries. And the amount invested, the penetration of private equity is still very low in the economy. The penetration, the M&A activity, the penetration as a percentage of the GDP, in many different dimensions. And we believe one of the reasons of that restriction for having private equity better disseminated relates to the fact that Brazil is a mid-market country, is a mid-market economy primarily. The number of companies that are, for instance, in excess of $200 million in sales per annum is relatively low, even compared to similar economies. So Brazil is a large economy composed by mid-sized companies that were kept aside from the huge fundraising process that took place in the last 5 years, and also from the capital markets in general. So we believe that we needed to bridge the gap between the actual footprint of the Brazilian economy, which is primarily mid-market, and the sources of capital. Sources of capital, both in public and private equities, have been constrained towards the larger companies. And we believe that the Bovespa Mais launch and now the first PE-backed IPO at Bovespa Mais are important landmarks that will actually rechannel the capital towards what Brazil has best to offer. Well, I expect this to change from now on dramatically to the better for the private equity industry as a whole. First, because we'll find this segment of Bovespa as an important source of subsequent rounds of financing for the companies we invest, not necessarily only for exiting, but also for exiting in the end. So we believe that having an offering of shares at Bovespa Mais at some point in time after we invest, and even if we hold our shares and work with the company, let the company get used and familiarized with the market trends and the public market dynamics, and then gradually exit ourselves. We believe that that's going to be the trend, not only for Bovespa Mais and for Brazil, but I'll say this is most likely the best sequence of steps for private equity to operate and benefit in emerging markets. First, we invested in this company in 2005 when the company was too small but growing fast. The company provides software for the financial sector, having as clients the major banks operating in Brazil, both local banks and international banks. And the company grew through acquisitions. So with our funds, capital injections, and also other co-investors like the Brazil's Development Bank, we funded acquisitions for this company to actually consolidate a few others in the market. So this company had governance since the beginning. Since our investment, we implemented a board of independent directors. The company was pretty much disciplined through the years in following very good practices of governance. So the company was ready and trained by private equity to go public. And then when we present this company to the process of going public, one of our concerns was that the company was not as known as usually an IPO in Brazil, a company that is searching for an IPO in Brazil is. So we decided to do the listing before this offering, which is not a normal thing to do in the typical IPOs, but that was very important because while the company listed and became technically publicly listed, the market turned to the company, and a lot of attention was drawn by that step. And then when we did the offering, there was a significant interest. There were more than 1,000 bids in the IPO. The comparable first IPO in 2008 in that same sector had less than 10. There are 48 brokerage houses willing to join the offering, which was not, I would say, consistent with the size of the offering. So we had to challenge ourselves to decide what to do with so much brokerage houses willing to participate in the process, probably also in an intention to learn and to be part of that important milestone for our market. There was an important interest in the asset management firms to actually participate. A few important funds that operate in Brazil, equity funds, took part of the offering, placing bids, and also an important degree of reference in the retail side. So these brokerage houses brought a lot of bids from the retail. So it was a clearly successful offering process. Yeah, this was a very important achievement in all senses, not only our achievement. We believe that the Bovespa was very happy with the results. Everyone at Bovespa actually was thrilled by what happened. The company itself, our investors, but also other fund managers. I think there was a great deal of expectation of what's going to happen in this one, because this may set the trend in the market or not. So we are surprised by people that should be considered perhaps competitors of ours, calling up and clearly supporting and waiting and somehow anxious to see the results, because that would open the way for them as well. So we believe that the overall across the board, the feeling after this success was not kept only for Stratus or for the company itself, but I think was a market achievement. That's why I believe that this is going to be setting a new trend in the Brazilian market. Yeah, that was very interesting, because within a few days after the offering, we started getting calls from companies that we didn't know before, and consultants of companies that had never been in touch before, showing that they have to confirm if we were the funds that actually invest and helped this company to prepare to go public through a few years, patiently and intensively. And they want to show their companies to us. They want to bring their clients to us in the case of the consultants. So we got about 50 calls unsolicited of people that you didn't know before, most of them from outside of São Paulo and Rio groups that are really willing to go public or willing to prepare themselves or their companies to be better exposed to capital markets. And we believe that dormant feeling was kind of hidden there in the Brazilian entrepreneur spirit, and now it's being released.